It is much safer to be feared than loved. One of the two either must be dispensed with. Affection is weather. It warms you at noon and abandons you at dusk. Respect is stone. It does not care about the sun. Haters feed on your reactivity. Your need to be liked, to be understood, to be seen trying. They are farmers of nerves. They plant jabs, harvest outrage, and sell your explanations as proof that you can be moved. The cure is not a louder virtue. The cure is cost. When crossing you becomes expensive, on calendars, in credits, at doors, hate loses profit. It shrinks, not because you begged for mercy, but because you removed the market for disrespect. Love is volatile. Cost is law. A deadline does not need applause to be real. An access rule does not blush. Credit logged in daylight does not care who smiles. Think of the team that keeps liking your posts, but arrives late to handoffs. Love is abundant at 9 a.m. when the coffee is fresh. Cost arrives at 5 p.m. with a decision clock that closes, and suddenly people move. Consider the friend who praises your generous spirit and then forgets your contribution in the group email. Love writes poems. Cost writes the line. Owners a build BQA, ship Tuesday. Consider a manager who compliments your passion while cutting your budget in the hallway. Love performs. Cost publishes the new sprint scope, and everyone sees where money goes. Behavior follows the tariff, not the toast. Detach dignity from being liked. Anchor it in levers. If approval must come, let it arrive as a side effect of order. You make order by replacing performances with rules you can point to without raising your voice. Begin with clocks. Send the agenda 24 hours before the meeting. Fix the order. Set time boxes. Offer expiry times on proposals. When a hater tries to hijack with a quick question, the clock answers for you. We'll log it, review at 1410. No outrage, no moral play, just time as a boundary that cannot be shamed. Stop performing virtue. Start publishing rules. Speeches about values are bait. They invite arguments about purity, tone, and history. Rules are different. Rules do not ask to be admired. They ask to be followed. Post your standard. Decisions Tuesdays 14 o'clock, 15 o'clock. Artifacts due by noon. One owner per task. Miss once. Access reduces next cycle. In a family, this looks like a shared calendar that prices last-minute changes. In a group chat, this looks like a pinned message. Requests require a one-paragraph brief with metric and deadline. When someone pushes back, why so rigid? You decline the theater and gesture to the wall. This is how we move. Clarity, not charm, compels compliance. Keep receipts. They are your quiet sword. Minutes, dashboards, one-pagers. Link them instead of explaining yourself. When your contribution is blurred into we, you drop the task board. When a rumor suggests you didn't communicate, you link the email sent, the time sent, the checklist attached. Receipts convert gossip to arithmetic. Arithmetic ends debates the way gravity ends, arguments about flying. Now make the vow of non-theatrical force. You will not vent in public threads. You will not debate character. You will enforce once with receipts and then move on. When a hater violates the standard, you apply the proportionate consequence in daylight, reduced speaking time next meeting, loss of decision, access for one cycle, removal from the invite list. Then you return to work. No sermons, no as you know paragraphs, no lectures about respect. The consequence teaches what words never will. This posture looks cold to those who profit from heat. Let them call it names. The warmest thing you can give people is a world where things start and end on time. Credit flows cleanly and nobody has to fight for basic fairness. Haters can hate the climate. They will still carry an umbrella in your weather. And once they do, something strange happens. They begin to cooperate. Not because they love you, but because it pays. Respect, engineered, outlives moods. It is a ledger that remembers when faces forget. Build it, publish it, enforce it once, then protect your sleep. Price trespass, show receipts, move on. A prince must imitate the fox and the lion. You chase approval because you were told it buys peace. You offer warmth, transparency, and results, hoping the crowd will hold back the knives. But approval is a weather report written by whoever controls the lights. Niceness without teeth, transparency without leverage, merit without framing. Each gives timing and optics to your adversaries. They smile while you speak, then move the clock while you sleep. If you want safety, stop singing lullabies to wolves, wear silk on the surface and steel underneath. Kindness without teeth is a tribute. Warmth becomes a subscription. Bullies renew on your time. Scope creeps because you're so reliable. Late changes land because you're flexible. Credit blurs because we did this together. The choreography is gentle. First praise, only you can save this. Then urgency, just a tiny thing tonight. Finally optics, a public thank you that costs nothing and erases your name from the record. At work, the quick fix becomes your weekend. In a neighborhood group, your one ride becomes a shuttle service. In family, your yes becomes the default and your no becomes a betrayal. Keep goodness, price it. Courtesy remains, but the gate charges. Speak like a concierge, think like a treasurer, happy to help for 90 minutes. After that, we rescue or move the date. Yes, with a change order signed. I'll do one coverage night. Repeats need a swap. Deliver these lines softly and identically, every time. When praise tries to buy free labor, point to the posted terms. The right people will adapt. The wrong people will reveal themselves, which is profit in disguise. Remember, protection is not a mood. It is a menu with prices. Your warmth is a welcome. Your limits are the walls that keep the welcome from being eaten. Then transparency theater, the lie that oversharing your fears earns safety. You write long messages to show you're reasonable. You narrate anxiety to prove good faith. The manipulator claps, then loads your words into their script. Since you're not comfortable with conflict, let's postpone the decision. Stall. Given how stressed you are, I'll take the lead. Power grab. Let's bring this to the whole team so they can see who's being fair. Public framing. While you diary, they deal. While you explain, they edit the first draft. While you ask for understanding, they book the room with the door. Swap diaries for decision pages. Bring artifacts that force choice problem, metric, date, owner, attach proof that bites, pilot results, budget codes, signed pre-commitments. Keep nerves off stage. In stand-up, replace I feel behind with risk X blocks Y. Escalation sent fallback deploys Thursday. When a leader asks your comfort level, answer with arithmetic. Hold the date by cutting scope A, or hold the scope by adding budget B. Silence selects A at 4 p.m. Friday. If someone pleads for more context, give one sentence and a link. History and appendix, decision today. Transparency that moves clocks is governance. Transparency that exposes wounds is bait. Show your schedule like steel. Keep your pulse in your pocket. Finally, the merit mirage. The idea that results speak for themselves. Results do not speak. They are spoken for by whoever controls rooms and clocks. Unframed excellence is a harvest. Others pick. You build a brilliant tool. They place it under their banner. You land the complex client. They unveil the deal at the all hands. You cut costs. They present efficiency wins while you wait in the second row. Your silence, called humility, becomes their megaphone. Pivot from deserving to designing incentives. Frame before you finish. Reserve the release slot. Define the metric that certifies done and the person who signs it. Circulate a one-pager before the meeting that names the owner, date, and success measure. Book the pre-read with finance, the pilot with one customer, the debrief on the calendar with your name at the top. In hiring, shorten loops with pre-cleared offers and tight trial periods so speed serves quality instead of replacing it. In partnerships, seed the terms in draft 1 so everyone else argues inside your frame. In community efforts, present vote-ready motions with budget sources attached. If the room must choose, design the choice. You will be told this is political. Translation: you stop being harvestable. You will be called rigid. Translation: your price is held under pressure. You will be called secretive. Translation: you sequenced your reveal to bind others before arming opponents. A fox reads traps. A lion ends the chase. Be both, appear civil, even gentle, but let every sentence carry a cost. An option, a deadline, a signature line. Put the three illusions on one table, and the pattern is plain. Kindness without teeth, hands access to the bold. Transparency without leverage, hands timing to the sly. Merit without framing, hands credit to the seated. Each illusion turns you into a supplier of comfort for others' plans. Retire them. Install a simple grammar of power, prices, pages, and placement. Make 3 moves until they feel like breathing. First, post terms, a short rate card for your time, a change order trigger, an after-hours rule. Write it calmly. Enforce it when others are not. Second, write decision pages. 2 options, their costs, the owner, the date, attach proofs, send where signatures live, not where applause echoes. Third, frame the win. Book the slot, define the metric, line up the verifier, and circulate the summary with your name tied to the leash of the clock. The room still decides, but it now decides inside your rails. Expect noise. Those who feed on your softness will call your backbone unkind. Those who feed on your diaries will call your brevity cold. Those who feed on your results will call your framing arrogant. Translate the noise into confirmation. Incentives are shifting, new allies will appear. The ones who prefer working with people whose yes binds and whose no closes. Your days will grow quieter. Your evenings will return to you. The storms will still come, but your harbor will have walls that hold. You do not need to be feared to be safe. You need to be priced, prepared, and placed. Keep the silk, wear it over steel. Smile when you say the terms, speak less story and more structure. Put decisions on paper and clocks on rails. Let your excellence arrive already framed and hard to steal. Approval may come later. Outcomes will come sooner. That is the only applause that pays. Warm voice, firm price, framed proof. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You feel it when the room cools by a single degree, a smile withheld, a message that waits unread, praise that lands like warm sugar. Deep inside, the shadow marks each signal and whispers orders to your hands. Approval, hunger, conflict avoidance, the rescuer identity, old guardians turn smugglers, carry your power out the back door while you argue that you're being reasonable. Haters don't have to break you. They only tug the levers you refuse to name. Name them, price them, then set rules that protect your status and pace. Approval hunger makes you explain to be liked. The face across the table goes polished and blank, your chest heats. Instead of deciding, you begin to audition, extra context, soft edges, apologetic numbers. The other side learns your code, praise accelerates you, silence freezes you, and starts steering with those signals. A manager says, "We couldn't do this without you," and you donate your weekend. A client writes, "Thoughts?" and you draft 2 screens so nobody can dislike your tone. An influencer tags you, and your plan dissolves into their thread. You think you're building relationships, you're proving you can be purchased with atmosphere. Install a 2-minute pause and a 3-line reply. Rule: the pause is the gate where the reflex can't sprint. Breathe like a diver, feel your heels on the floor, press your tongue to the roof of your mouth so panic can't spend your voice. Then give exactly 3 lines, the decision, the reason, the next step. Proceeding with option B, it fits Friday's deadline. I'll post the checklist at noon. If praise follows disrespect, keep the rule and add repair. We'll continue after yesterday's remark is addressed and authorship confirmed. Run every check-in through the same frame. Clarity beats charm at the opening move. Your approval hunger will complain. Let it. You're training your nervous system to prefer rails over weather. Write your button list and pair each with a counter reflex. Button, public flattery. Counter, convert sugar to scope. 3 outcomes, a date, and what comes off your plate. Button, deliberate silence. Counter, no free drafts, 2 options with an expiration. Return to your plan. Button, access crumbs. Quick call, VIP coffee. Counter, propose a 3rd option that serves your objective. If declined, you keep moving. You are not a heat-seeking yes. You are a lighthouse fixed to rock. Avoidance is a tax, and interest compounds. You dodge hard lines because you confuse kindness with softness. But boundaries are ribs. Without them, kindness collapses. Open a ledger and tally the debt you've been paying in the dark. You accept tiny tweaks without definition. Cost 10 hours, 2 late nights, 1 apology to someone you love. You let authorship blur for team harmony. Cost: your name vanishes from the slide. Your narrative shifts from decider to helper. You keep a weekly meeting with no owner and no outcome. Costs 3 hours a week to nowhere. You avoid asking who decides by when. Costs 7 days of drift that return as weekend work. Add another line, friendly disrespect. The subtle habit of joking cuts that you ignore. Costs slow erosion of standing, faster erosion of voice. Turn anxiety into arithmetic, so boundaries feel cheaper than delay. Create a cost table where you can't avoid it. Calendar, notebook, dashboard, time plus 10 hours per undefined tweak, plus 3 hours per ownerless meeting. Credit, your one visible win per uncorrected authorship slide. Peace, you run 2 nights of sleep per week of drift. Money rate, what is hours bled to scope. Creep, now answer with one screen of nouns and numbers. To deliver X by date Y, we either drop A or add B. The definition of done equals Z. Owner, Nabila. Decision by Friday noon. If undecided, project pauses. Authorship listed on release notes. Objections by EOD. When pushback arrives as fog, condense it again. Clean friction upstream is cheaper than chronic resentment downstream. Courage is a single expensive moment. Delay is a subscription. Your body will protest when you collect what's owed. Hands may tremble. Face may heat. Let them, that is an old exile trying to keep you small. Breath holds the line until the room holds it for you. After 1 month of ledger-based boundaries, loops decrease. After 1 quarter, your name ties to outcomes. After 1 year, your price and pace match your reality instead of your fear. Now the rescuer's loop. Saving others becomes your brand and your leash. Teammates learn that urgent problems become lighter if they throw them at your heart. Only you can fix this, they say, and your cape twitches. You pre-chew risks, rewrite briefs, carry projects like a stretcher. A bully doesn't need talent if they can book your softness on retainer. While you rescue, your own deadlines starve. Your mornings fill with other people's emergencies. Your real work becomes a guilty night habit. Replace rescue with templates, queues, and limited aid windows. Templates turn excellence into forms that teach without draining you. A 1-page brief, a scope checklist, a decision tree. Queues force requests to arrive with fields filled, owner, deadline, acceptance criteria, so your brain is not an intake desk. Limited aid windows keep generosity honest. 2 favors per quarter, pre-chosen with clear starts and ends. When a DM says, quick call, reply, use the request form. I review during consult hours 2-3-2-4. When an executive tries to bypass the queue, point to the lane and keep building. You are not punishing. You are conserving initiative. The spark haters target first. Protect the opening of your day like a fortress. Schedule strike windows where you start rather than explain. In that window you send frames, not essays. You choose, not charm. Diplomacy can live in the afternoon. Morning belongs to decisions. If a ping lands at 9:05, your counter reflex fires, pause, 3 lines, send. If tiny tweak appears, you answer. List acceptance criteria. We'll schedule after scope lock. If silence stretches, you do not fill it with free labor. You send options with expiration and return to your path. Silence is data. It filters the unserious without you spending blood to learn what time could have told. Understand the psychology inside the protocol. Jung would say the shadow stores the exiled guardians, anger that closes the gate, pride that refuses crumbs, the voice that can sit in quiet and survive it. Invite them back. You won't become cold, you will become coherent. Your kindness will still be warm, but it will move on rails. Your help will still be real, but it will obey a budget. Your love will still be open, but it will own a lock. Picture the next hour. A stakeholder types, thoughts. Your old reflex reaches for a paragraph. You pause. 3 lines leave your hands like an arrow. A colleague jokes about your smaller work. You breathe, raise the ledger, and draw the line. Keep the respect, keep the timeline, credit as listed. A manager tries to widen scope with praise. You convert sugar to scope or you decline. A teammate broadcasts urgency without ownership. You paste the queue link and keep your pace. Some will like you less. They were liking the free version of you. Some will step closer. Edges make trust cheap. The shadow stops hiring your haters when it believes you can guard yourself. That belief is built by rules you keep when no one is watching. The 2-minute pause, the 3-line reply, the visible ledger, the template link, the closed morning door. You cannot stop people from pressing buttons. You can price each press and wire each to a counter move until the old current no longer runs. Walk into the day with rails under your feet. Praise will rise, silence will fall, storms will test the frame. Your frame holds, your pace holds. Your status signals stop leaking through politeness. Holes you never meant to cut. The room will still have weather. You will have climate. That is power. Keep the rails, let the train move. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. The laugh arrives like a thin blade. It travels the table, catches light on a remark about our quick fix, and slips through the slide where your name should stand. The word "we" fogs the room. Your metric flashes, then vanishes. Heat crawls up your neck. Humiliation, rage, and numbness slam like doors in different halls of one house. You don't argue, you observe. Slow the scene until it shows its gears. The chair checks the clock as if truth is billed by the minute. The deck driver scrolls past the line with your initials. A manager quotes your midnight email as alarm we contained, stealing the usefulness and pinning the panic on you. Someone says, "Anyway, budget," and the flock turns. The insult pretends to be comedy, but it is cover fire for logistics already arranged. This pain feels personal. Its source is structural. Let the sting register without spectacle. Your first urge is to flood the room with proofs, names, times, attachments, until the laughter drowns. Leave the air alone. Use the ledger. Stillness is not surrender. It is reconnaissance. Track where eyes travel before voices speak. Note who sits closest to the decider. Notice the recap already forming on another laptop. This is not theater. It is surveillance for a counter design. Translate humiliation into a map. 4 switches run this room: agenda, optics, timing, gatekeepers. Who set the order? Not you. The approvals came early while attention was fresh, and your items sat after applause when fatigue is cheap. Who owns optics? The operator at the screen controlled dwell time. Your number blurred while theirs lingered. Who owns timing? The jab landed seconds before the vote, when closure outruns accuracy. Who curated the seats and the invite list? Allies of the decider flanked the head. Those who could sign or suffer the budget were missing. Pain becomes coordinated. Coordinates become levers. Write the levers you will take. Agenda decisions must follow metrics, not precede them. Optics artifacts must carry owner, date, and delta in the title itself. Timing decision makers get a pre-brief 48 hours prior with one clear task. Gatekeepers, the table must include the signer and the sufferer. Spectators move to recap. Hold these and the weather obeys you. Fire will beg for drama. An email that scorches. A speech that drags the room into your pain. Fire is bright and hungry. It leaves ash, trade flame for steel. Breathe a square 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, until the tongue obeys the hand. Open a note titled "What, Sure, Where, When Nest." Timestamp the joke in the skip slide. Capture the phrases that erased you. Wed, handled, not a blocker. List who laughed first, who said anyway, who changed the subject. The log does the cooling. Convert heat into architecture. Draft a 1-page artifact that makes dilution expensive. 3 lines only. Revenue protected, revenue created, risk removed, each tied to a number, a method, an owner, your name, and a date. Append 1 decision sentence. Approve X by date to unlock Y. Decline and accept Z risk. Send it to the 2 votes that move money 48 hours before the meeting. Title the invite decision. Ask for 5 minutes before the budget, not after. Decline the live readout, let the paper work. Rebuild optics so fog cannot form. Retire decks where contributions drown in gradients. Use owner-stamped templates. Footers show sources, deltas show before and after. Keep we only where joint work is real and listed by name. If someone tries to paste your effort into pasteurized unity, the footer contradicts them before you speak. Attack timing with patience. Speak last, let the room reveal appetite. Then deliver 2 numbers and 1 risk with a verb, not an adjective. Approve, decline. Pause. Rooms reward closure. Train them to associate closure with your artifacts. If a late argument appears, the pre-brief pulls it back to paper placed in calmer hours. Redesign gatekeepers. Audit invites by power, not charm. Who can say yes? Who can block? Who must live with the outcome? Invite those three classes, no more. Seat the decider where numbers fill their field of view, not faces. Define roles. Owner, decider, advisors. Witness, advisors, speak once. Witness records decisions. Silence becomes policy. It starves grandstanding and feeds the ledger. Now anticipate the test. Another we, another smirking compliment about your passion, another scroll past your line when seconds matter. Do not improvise, execute the enforcement you wrote in cold blood. Delivery pauses until artifacts reflect ownership, or decision moves to next session. Metrics precede vote, or contract rotates for a quarter after 2 misattributions. No heat, paper and procedure. Teeth, rare and documented, teach faster than 100 speeches. Keep your perimeter. Prune channels that produce applause without leverage. Replace the quick call with weekly office hours and a form that requires evidence. Convert availability into scarcity, so presence gains gravity. Your silence begins to invoice the frivolous. Your sentences, few and heavy, move more than old paragraphs. Identity starts to reassemble under law. You are not colder. You are cold only where law must be cold. You praise precisely and forgive once, with a timestamp and a remedy. You stop bribing peace with extra labor. You schedule fairness and invoice outcomes. Confidence stops being a costume and becomes a rhythm. People can learn. The room adjusts because your terms are cheaper than chaos. Watch the climate bend. The chair asks for your one-pager before you send it. The operator lets your number linger because the table expects it to linger. The budget owner answers to the artifact because the artifact sets the sequence. We shrinks to the footprint it earns. Jokes die in their throats because jokes cost minutes now, and minutes cost money. What once required you to fight now requires them to comply. You will be cut again. The weather repeats, but every cut reveals a switch, and every switch you seize makes the next storm smaller. Freeze the frame, mark the coordinates, and move one square with steel. The seam inside you does not vanish. It becomes load-bearing. What you are, useful, scarce, consequential, replaces what you hoped they would feel. They respect the system because the system pays them to. Stand, gather your notes, and leave without haste. You did not win an argument. You redesigned the room. The proof is quiet. Shorter meetings, clearer tasks, decisions on time, budgets aligned with artifacts. Kindness did not fail. It found its place as policy with a budget and a spine. Freeze the cut, price the pattern, move in steel. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. You were trained to chase the first and blush at the second. The room smiled. You over-explained and your calendar bled. They did not respect you because they liked you. They liked you because crossing you was cheap. It was never love. It was expensive. Respect follows usefulness, scarcity, and credible consequences. Tonight you stop hoping for courtesy and start designing it. From deserving to designing, you make relationships measurable so the room negotiates with reality, not your nerves. Deliverables replace compliments. Response windows replace waiting. Access tiers replace open borders. Lead with a 12-word frame that cages fog. We solve X by Y date measured by Z. Use it to open and to rescue. We solve churn by March 31, measured by under 4%. We solve reply lag by Thursday noon, measured by sub-1 hour response. If talk drifts into anecdotes, you drag it back to the dial. Does this move Z by Y date? If yes, proceed. If not, park it. Put the exchanges on one page and pin it where work lives. Row 1, deliverables. The dial, the deadline, the owner by name. Row 2, response windows. Acknowledgement in 4 hours, decision by 15 o'clock, non-critical after 10 o'clock tomorrow. Row 3, access tiers. Critical gets same-day replies tied to the dial. Partner gets checkpoints and previews. General gets a Friday summary. Names on owners, not departments. Dates on decisions, not soon. The page becomes your translator when patience thins. Affection becomes optional. Alignment becomes mandatory because the path to yes is printed and the price of no is visible. Run scenes in your mind before the week begins. A colleague sells a quick add-on that would swallow your sprint. Old you persuades for an hour and loses the day. New you post a decision page. Problem in one sentence. 3 options with a default, 2 lines of risk, 1 owner, 2 times midpoint and decision. Midpoint 11 o'clock, decision 15 o'clock. If silent, option A ships, you did not harden your heart. You harden your governance. Crossing meets a posted cost. Miss the window, lose the choice. Scarcity by policy. Speak less. Decide in fixed windows. Ship on schedule. Concentrate value where your push moves a real needle. The 2-minute executive tape that kills dithering. The risk map that prevents Monday fires. The weekly customer reel that cuts debate in half. Specialization raises your negotiating weight before conflict starts. Then gate access with rules anyone can learn in a minute. 1 channel for requests, 1 office hour, 1 form, 1 48-hour SLA, no hallway approvals, publish it once. Let the sign, not your mood, carry the weight. Make time your enforcer. Tie choices to midpoints and defaults, and write them where search can find them. Decision Tuesday, 15 o'clock. Midpoint Monday, 11 o'clock. Default ships if silent. Escalation is automatic. Miss midpoint, ping owner. Miss decision, ping sponsor. Miss default, execute. The schedule becomes your spine. People adapt to road signs faster than to your hope. Train your speech to signal scarcity. Short blocks that end with a date. 2 items, decide today, review Monday 10 o'clock. Confirm in writing. Demo like a tide. Same hour each week. So credit is predictable and theft is boring. Decline meetings without agendas 24 hours in advance. Route quick calls into the queue. You are not cold, you are exact. When words shrink and receipts grow, noise stops eating your mornings. Your silence begins to weigh more than other people's speeches. Ship on schedule even when applause is absent. The early shipment earns the homepage slot by rule. The late brief rolls to the next sprint by rule. You don't argue this, you point to it. Scarcity turns from rumor into policy. Your presence gets heavy without becoming loud, because the calendar now carries teeth. Mercy with memory, keep generosity tied to records and a single proportionate penalty. Announce standards with reasons, risk notes due Friday 17 o'clock, so no one walks into Monday blind. Record breaches with nouns and dates, not adjectives, notes missed on the 9th and 23rd, 2 hours of scramble. Apply 1 measured cost once, publicly with receipts. Loss of sprint speaking slot for 1 cycle, then stop talking. Restoration is announced with equal clarity. 2 clean Fridays, slot restored. Credibility without cruelty teaches your exchange rate and ends the theater that drained your nights. Invoice kindness, so it survives memory. Write favors like trades with due dates. Intro today, case study by the 30th. Priority review granted. Draft by Wednesday noon. Paid favors rise tiers. Unpaid favors lose proximity for 1 cycle. No speeches. The ledger speaks. People romanticize, free until free fails them. Then they bless the invoice for remembering. Modern scene 1. A manager says we over your work. Heat climbs your throat. You point to the board, owner, definition of done, demo date, metric. The builder shows the number, the room writes the credit. You change nothing. The system defended you. Modern scene 2. A partner pushes early access just this once. You smile and point to tears. Partner gets checkpoints. Early access requires critical impact on the dial. They either show the link to the dial or they wait. Your kindness survives because your gates took the punch. Modern scene 3. A decision tries to dissolve into more alignment. You read the clock. Midpoint passed at 11 o'clock. Default ships at 15 o'clock. Silence becomes consent to momentum. The feature ships, the habit of crossing meets price, and finally stops. This is the reframe. Respect follows usefulness, scarcity, and credible consequences. You remain human, you refuse to be inexpensive. Tomorrow morning you bring a frame, a page, a clock, a board, and 1 calm sentence for breaches. You speak less, you decide faster. You document once, you let the schedule take blows, your face used to absorb. Approval begins to chase outcomes because outcomes stop chasing approval. Your reputation shifts from pleasant to predictable, and predictable is what the serious trust. Useful, scarce, enforced, no begging. You stop asking to be liked and start arranging to be obeyed. Love drifts, respect compounds. Earn it with order that survives moods, and the room will meet your standards whether or not it admires you. This is not theater. It is a field kit, frames, clocks, credit maps, gates, a sanction ladder, ally math and clean hands used calmly, leaving little air for chaos. Begin with 12 words that cage the story inside numbers. We solve X by Y date measured by Z, owners AB. Open with it, pin it, repeat before any decision. Make X one noun, Y a real date, Z a measurable result, and AB the only names responsible. Any suggestion must restate X and offer a better Y or sharper Z, otherwise it parks with an owner and a deadline. Sample lines, we cut churn 20% by May 1st, measured by renewals, owners ops product, payments live by April 30th, measured by successful transactions, owners engineering finance. If someone wanders into a biography, this is about culture. You nod once and say, propose a metric or return to Z. Frames end sermons. Own the agenda and the clock so drift becomes expensive. Send agendas 24 hours early with fixed order and time boxes beside each item. Start on the minute. End when the work is set. Publish notes before lunch. Attach expiries to choices and offers as you would to milk. Sample lines, decision window today until 16 o'clock. Silence returns it to my desk. Offer expires at 17 o'clock. Fall back at 17:05. If the dependency isn't unblocked by Wednesday noon, we ship the smaller slice. Keep 2 tempos, a daily 5-minute stand-up that names the next brick, and a weekly 30-minute review that shows the wall rising. If you slip once, announce a public reset tomorrow, run a visible timer, and let punctuality reclaim the ground. Move credit into daylight, so theft costs more than work. Run a public task board where every deliverable shows one owner and one date. Schedule demos, move names to done like a ceremony. In change logs and launch notes, write explicit credit, sample lines, update posted credit, Aisha for build, Bilal for QA. Demo Friday 10 o'clock, owner Zane, questions in the doc. If a manager summarizes without names, paste the log and let daylight end the debate. First missing credit earns a correction on the public note. Second earns a policy reminder in stand-up. Third removes access to decision rooms for 2 weeks. Daylight is a currency, pay in public. Price proximity with access tiers and office hours. Decisions happen in defined blocks. Requests require artifacts. Split invites into decide, consult, observe, post the rule where eyes live. Calendar descriptions, channel pins, meeting footers, sample lines. Decisions in the Tuesday block. Send artifacts by noon Monday. DMs are for emergencies. Route requests to the alias. Office hours Thursday 14 o'clock, 15 o'clock. Include the metric you want moved. Decline off-calendar favors with courtesy and finality. Not now, not this way, not at that price. First breach gets a redirect. Second removes the requester from the next block. Third requires 2 clean weeks before re-entry. Your attention stops being a hallway and becomes a gate. When a line is crossed, enforce once with receipts, standard breach, single public enforcement, publish the standard in daylight, capture the breach with time, artifact, and effect, and deliver a proportionate consequence. Keep it private when possible. Go public only to protect the larger order. Sample lines purse posted standard, the speaking window closed, your item moves to next week, sell a missed, access reduced for 2 sprints, restoration after 2 clean deliveries. Do not sermonize. Do not stack penalties. 1 clean enforcement teaches longer than a month of size. Correct, log, move. Run alliance math so cooperation is cheaper than resistance. Before a high-stakes meeting, pre-brief 2 credible allies with artifacts they can hold. 1-pager, demo link, sample numbers. Ask for 1 sentence they will say on record, and 1 question that deepens your frame. Samples for them. We piloted this, saves 6 hours per week. How does this keep variance under 2%? Map who gains if you win, who loses, and who prefers stasis. Root low-friction tribute to allies who guard the corridor. Early look at numbers, shared tooling that saves them time, a warm introduction that expands their reach. Loyalty grows when you make their best day arrive with your best day. Keep clean hands while you move resources. Document decisions in the channel where records live. Avoid sarcasm. Comply with process even when you could bulldoze. Write to be quoted without harm. Short, factual, time-stamped, sample lines. As per 9 o'clock agenda, we solve X by Y date, measured by Z, owners AB. Notes circulated, next review Tuesday 9:15. Root approvals through the ticket or shared docs so no side DM can rewrite the past. When pulled toward the theater, refuse the stage and offer the record. Legitimacy is lighter than charm and stronger than volume. It travels in clean minutes and clean memos. Here is how the kit behaves when the wind rises. Sales qualify early, budget, timeline, authority, and walk when two blur. The frame opens the call, the offer carries expiry. Daylight credit lands at countersign. Credit Nadia on pricing, Rafi on red lines. Access stays priced. Questions land in office hours. Hiring scorecards beat vibes. Interviews end on the minute. Assignments have dates. Offers expire cleanly. Operations, task boards, and response clocks. Stop fires from wandering room to room. Escalation ladders assign owners and timers. Outages trigger an after-action within 24 hours. Online pinned policy answers bait. You mute, archive, and move. At home, decision hours, cool-down rules, and no-threat language. Keep midnight from writing morning policy. Common traps demand fast repairs. You speak softly, but never prompt. Silence becomes drift. Fix with one precise question, owner, and date. You frame in numbers but allow exceptions without clocks. Loops multiply. Fix by attaching an expiry to every exception and a review date. You praise in private, goodwill evaporates. Fix by logging names where peers and leads witness the record. You open the gate for a friend, access floods. Fix with one proportionate penalty and a smaller door for 2 weeks. You let a manager steal light, resentment breeds and speed dies. Fix by posting the record and returning to daylight. Why this earns respect, not love. Respect is relief delivered on schedule. People stop negotiating with your emotions and start meeting your systems. Your face no longer swings markets. Your procedures do. Predictability becomes mercy. Mercy breeds trust. Trust compounds into speed. You do less arguing and more arranging. You move resources without taking bait. And when affection appears, you treat it as surplus, not fuel. If your nerve shakes, lean on the gear. Speak the 12 words, point to the clock, pace the board, close the gate. Issue the one enforcement and reopen the door on schedule. Ask your allies the question you planted. Send the notes, sleep. The shadow you once fought now does a job. It guards your boundary while your system carries your voice. This is not bravado, it is maintenance, and maintenance is mercy, for you and for everyone who lives in your weather. Frame in 12, sell time in blocks. Pay credit in daylight, and let the record rule. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. You do not chase approval, you design respect. QuietPower is not a volume setting. It is a structure. You set standards that do not blink with your mood. You decide where time goes and what it buys. The payoff is plain: fewer crises, faster outcomes, better sleep. People call it luck because your effort leaves no fingerprints. It looks like the room simply behaves. Begin with a quiet rhythm. Once a week, same hour, same chair, you walk the perimeter of your promises. You review breaches without rage. What slipped, who hesitated, which rules sagged under convenience. You close loops. The vague request becomes a 2-line brief with a deadline that someone owns. The late invoice gets a time-stamped reply and a firm clause quoted. The back-channel rumor receives one clean message addressed to all who need to hear it. You reward clean execution in daylight, say the name, record the win, and grant authority for the next step without asking you again. You are polishing gears, not giving speeches. You remove places where chaos feeds. Templates replace improvisation. One-page decisions replace meetings that hunt for identity. You standardize handoffs, set office hours, and cap response windows. Exceptions exist, but they are purchased with cost and recorded once. You keep your tone even. Drama starves because it cannot buy attention. The rhythm becomes repeatable: short calls with agendas, shorter emails with verbs first, dashboards that tell the truth at a glance. People relax not because nothing goes wrong, but because when it does, the response is already written and the clock is already set. Then reputation becomes climate. Predictability turns into weather. Your yes is clean, your no is final and polite. Haters, bullies, and bargain hunters scan for fog and find clear skies. They adapt or drift. The vendor who padded lines discovers visibility. Padding stops. The colleague who loved midnight chaos meets posted access rules and learns to plan by daylight. Even praise follows a rule. Public, specific, tied to standards. So performance eats and flattery starves. Over weeks the air changes. People stop hedging for storms and start building 2 moves ahead. Under stable weather, small efforts compound. Under fair law, loyalty travels toward competence. Understand, engineered respect is not softness. It is disciplined governance. You make the right action cheap and the wrong action expensive. You do not weaponize anger, you budget consequence. When a line is crossed, you act once, in proportion, on record, and then you return to mission. There is no encore of outrage. Memory, not volume, becomes your guardrail. The room learns that boundaries are not opinions, they are property lines, and crossing them collects a fee. Now take the vow. Frame early, name the aim in one plain sentence before opinions multiply. Measure every idea against that frame. Price access, your time is a marketplace, agendas open the door, clarity buys minutes, and idle talk pays retail. Credit in daylight, call names where everyone can hear so loyalty flows toward standards, not toward flattery. Enforce once when trespass happens, deliver the cost immediately and calmly. Forgive the person, not the pattern. Move on, do not feed the spectacle. Close the loop and point to the next page. Force without theater is the cleanest kind. Modern noise rewards performance. You prefer results. Your proof is the work that does not wobble, the launch that leaves on the printed day, the client who renews early, the team that sleeps because handoffs are boring and precise. Peace is not a gift you receive. It is the interest your discipline accrues. It arrives in the quiet, the call you never had to make, the meeting you never needed, the crisis that forgot your name. You did not ask for respect. You built a world where it is the natural language. Under that weather, the loudest thing in the room is progress, and progress speaks softly. I set the frame, price access, credit in daylight, enforce once, and move on.